You're listening to PlayStation Power. I'm George, and with me is Greg.
Hello, everybody. How you been? Well, I hope.
I hope well, too. And, oh, what's this? Somebody jumping in from Master System Masterpieces. It's Paul.
Hey, what is going on, guys?
So,
are you ready to defy urban gravity and skate in 12 legendary venues?
Can we say we did?
Let's not even say we did. Sure, why not? Yeah, so this game, Thrasher Presents Skate and Destroy, is our game we're covering on this episode. And for the longest fucking time, Paul and I were like, hey man, we should do a Skate and Destroy episode on PlayStation Power, because I know you like it. And you talked about it on Retro Obscura, you liked it, and, you know, it obviously fits with this podcast because it's a PlayStation game, so we should do it sometime. And that was, I think we started talking about it like last year, and we never did it for some reason.
Yeah.
And then we got around to our PlayStation picks this summer, and I was like, you know what, why don't we play this game? And Paul, why don't you come on and talk about it? So it's kind of my pick, it's kind of your pick, it's kind of everybody's pick. Except for Greg. Greg doesn't like this game. At least I don't think he does. I don't know.
He's a Tony Hawk guy. It's like
no, that's
like
not true either.
it's Genesis versus Super Nintendo conversation. It's Tony Hawk or Thrasher. But
No,
I
it's
don't
not
even
really
think
the fault of any of these games. It's just like, my experience is growing up with like the Skate or Die series, for example, like on the NES. So it's like those games I enjoy, but these games, they're just harder for me to get into, like, for whatever reason.
That's okay. Greg doesn't like good games. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Good games. We cover good games on this podcast.
We try to.
So, I think people just usually call this game Skate and Destroy. I don't know. I call it Thrasher Presents Skate and Destroy, and it's too long-winded, but that's what I do anyway. So this game was released in North America September 26, 1999, and in PAL territories 1999 at some point. I don't know. We don't have a date. Again. Developer was Z-Axis. Z-Axis developed a decent amount of other sports titles, I believe. Or just other titles in general. I definitely recognize the name. I probably do have at least a couple of games that they've developed. I don't know what games, though. But the big thing here is this was published by Rockstar Games. Rockstar. The Grand Theft Auto people. The ping pong people. The State of Emergency people. State of Emergency sucked anyway. I really didn't like it. I really did not like State of Emergency. And it sucks because I have multiple copies for multiple platforms for some reason, but it's almost like Gran Turismo 3 where like there's always a copy popping up. Like, oh look, this one's coming out of my ass this time. So, yeah, but Rockstar Games. Interesting. You know, Greg and I were talking about this before, and you were like, oh, there's a Rockstar game, right? And I was like, yeah, but it's only published. It wasn't any, like, in-house developer or anything that worked on this game, so... Which is weird because they don't do that too often, but you'll see some games pop up like this and... what was the Bungie game? What was that, Oni or whatever? The shitty first-person shooter or third-person shooter or whatever it was?
Remember that game now, yeah.
I do want to try that. I've never played that game, but I heard it sucks. So, we'll see. But, Thrasher Presents Skate and Destroy is a game that I believe it came out like a couple of months before Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Is that right?
Well, if you give me a moment, I can look it up.
Well, if you give me a moment, I can look it up too.
I was gonna say I've read it came out the day before Tony Hawk, and then I read it came a month after Tony Hawk. So I'm like, I don't think
so.
Tony
Hawk's
really
Pro Skater came out September 30th, 1999.
And according to this, Thrasher came out.
September 26th.
I know, the month later, like October 31st.
That's not the info I have.
Okay.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think everyone's like mismod. They don't like know when it came out.
Well, this came from
it seems like Tony Hawk came out
right,
like the same month, but like a few days after Skate and Destroy, and it seems like Skate and Destroy really missed out on that. It didn't hit it. I guess it must be like the whole thing of there wasn't like a name behind it, maybe. Like I get Thrasher is a big magazine, but
Tony Hawk is
I think Tony Hawk,
man.
I think I think Tony Hawk's that spinny guy. He spun a lot in the X Games.
720, 1080, whatever.
900.
Oh, 900.
900 degrees. That's a lot of degrees. That's really hot.
Yeah, you're the first person to do it too.
Yes. Yeah, I think Tony Hawk was more popular because more of the people who like skateboarding on the surface, it probably hit them more than the Thrasher game, maybe.
Well, Tony Hawk's definitely a lot easier to pick up and play.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes, we can get into that in a second, but yes. The other thing I want to do is actually pull up Z-Axis. So we're doing this fun stuff on the podcast that we do every fucking what the fuck?
Also,
It's
the fact that the Rockstar.
Rockstar.
From what I saw online, Rockstar didn't really promote this game like very heavily compared to Activision pumping the shit out of Tony Hawk.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. I looked up Z-Axis, and what came up was electronics design and manufacturing. Rare combination of electronic design services and contract manufacturing under one roof.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
They did some nice lighting in this building by my house. They're very good contractor. Do you need their email?
You're funny.
No, I think they actually did like one of the like BMX. I don't know that guy's name.
Well, I can
that's
let
really
you know.
popular for BMX at the time. In the 90s.
I can let you know.
Dave something. I don't know, man.
That
I just wasn't into
they've
BMX.
developed games such as Fox Sports College Hoops 99
Oh, okay.
and Thrasher Presents Skate and Destroy. Oh, that's a game we should cover at some point. Dave Mira Freestyle BMX, which is
I remember that game. That was fun.
which is not a bad game. Freestyle Motocross McGrath versus Pastrana. I actually remember this game. I never played it, but I've always seen ads for it. Dave Mira Freestyle BMX Maximum Remix, which I've never fucking heard of. Apparently it's just like a redone version of the original game. I don't know. One of my favorite BMX games, Dave Mira Freestyle BMX 2, which is definitely something we should cover at some point soon, because I actually really enjoy that game. Aggressive Inline, which is a rollerblading game and is not very good. And here's my favorite one, BMX Triple X, if anyone knows what that is. And the last game they did was, I believe this is the last game they did, X-Men: The Official Game. So no wonder why they aren't doing anything else.
Well, there's two other games here that I want to call out also because this is curious because I got a list on here too. Okay. It looks like their last game was actually Enemy Territory Quake Wars for the PS3 in 2008.
Oh really? Maybe they were absorbed by somebody, and that's why it's not popping up here for me.
And two, they actually handled the remake of Space Invaders.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Because I know they were like kind of doing their own thing for a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
And then you get Thrasher Presents Skate and Destroy. That was a Rockstar published game. And then they were doing a lot of Acclaim stuff. And then they did a couple of AKA Studios things, which was kind of, I don't know.
Okay.
AKA Studios is fucking weird. And then they were like bought by Activision eventually.
Yeah, they were bought by Activision 2002. They got renamed Underground Development in 2008 and closed 2010.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, I see. I got your number. Okay, cool. I got you. That's what happened to them. Okay.
So yeah, I would say more stinkers than hits overall on their list of games.
Yeah, but when they made some hits, like they made some
They had some good games, sure, yeah, but
yeah, when we were doing multiplayer for Skate and Destroy, it definitely reminded me of Dave Mirra's BMX 2, because they had some of those types of game modes in there, especially the one where you try to the crash mode.
Right.
They certainly had the crash mode in there, and my favorite part of that game was there was a level with all this traffic. So what you would do is you would ram yourself into a car, and you were able to hold a button, and what it would do is your hand would hold onto like the nearest thing. So you would just hold onto the car and get dragged by it and get the highest score ever. So yeah, it's a cheap fucking move, but yeah. So there's that stuff, and yeah, they made some good games, and you're right, a lot of fucking shit games. You're not wrong. This game though, this game is very difficult to get into. It's a shame though, because I like it, and it goes for more of that realistic kind of skateboarding compared to the Tony Hawk's, where Tony Hawk is more of like, you gotta ollie first before you do any kickflips or grabs or anything. It's all, the physics are crazy and weird, man, and you're doing these crazy line combos that you would never be able to do in real life, and grind the helicopter, man, and oh shit, the helicopter's flying away, get the secret tape! I'm sorry, I don't know what that was. But this is more of like, you have little gravity, because gravity sucks on Earth, and it sucks in this game too. So, yeah, it's more realistic, and it's annoying, but it's like Skate, but before Skate was a thing. Because in Skate, you were, you know, it was realistic, and you had to, like, you could do a kickflip into something else or whatever, whereas Tony Hawk was an ollie into tricks and all that shit or whatever, and doing these crazy manuals and whatnot. So, you know, in this game, you can just straight up kickflip, like, right off the grounds, like any normal person would be able to do. So, this is a video game about skateboarding, obviously.
So, Paul, what's your history like of this game? Why'd you pick this on for us?
Well, like, when I ended up getting my PS1, it was late. Like, I don't know when that PS1 actually came out. Probably, what, 95 or 96? Around that
PlayStation
that
over here came out 95.
Yeah, so I remember, like, a friend having the PlayStation. He had, like, the demo disc that came with it, and, like, that was kind of my experience with it. And then seeing Gran Turismo for the first time, and then, like, when I moved out, so
that's a game we covered.
I was, what, 2000? It's like 2000. I was 20, 21 in that area.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like in that vicinity, so my friend was like, "Hey, do you want this PlayStation? I'm gonna sell it cheap." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I bought a PlayStation, and then I bought Gran Turismo because I love that game, and then I started renting a bunch of games, and I think I originally went to get like Tony Hawk or something like that, and it was late, so it was around 2000, and like Blockbuster at the time had this game, so like I picked up this game, and like me and my roommate at the time, we played so much this game. We played a ton of it. And then I ended up taking it back, and then I went and bought a copy of it, and I still have the actual copy of the game I
Sweet,
today, yeah.
Cool.
So, like, it was one of those games where at the beginning of it, like, playing it, it was almost like to the point where we wanted to take it back, because it's kind of tough to get
Yeah.
It's a little tough it can be a little tough to get the hang of, but like,
A little.
once
I agree with Greg on this one.
I was like, once we started getting the hang of it, I was like, we were just hooked to it, and that's how I like ended up playing this game, and like,
Okay.
it can go, man. It has like 12 levels. I think I remember playing through like the 12 levels out of it at the time. I can't do that now, but I'll jump into the yeah, I was like, I'll jump into the game and play like the first 2 levels, or I won't even start the levels. I'll just do tricks for fun. That's probably how I play it now, but
Yeah.
I just remember like just spending so many hours playing this game. And
you can
just,
always use cheats and get yourself further and unlock everything.
Yeah, you can do a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, I remember just going to like the subway part and just throwing the skater in front of the subway just to see him like ragdoll out. It was just so fun. Like it was that kind of game.
So that's a big thing for a game of this era. This game had ragdoll physics. This is a PlayStation game.
Yeah, it was nuts.
I can't think of like the first PlayStation 2 game to do ragdoll physics. You know, and this game's just like, hey, you crashed. Here's this ragdoll. Also, a lot of the times I crashed, I ended up doing weird splits, and I was like, oh my god, I need to go to the hospital. My dick fell off.
And you get hit by a subway, and then it just says, oh, your board broke. I'm like, dude, you
That's
broke.
the other thing. That's the other thing. It's like you throw yourself in front of the train, and it's like you get stuck in it, and like your ragdoll freaks out, and you get all this damage, and it's like your board broke, and it's like, dude, I don't think my board broke. I think my life broke in like 20 pieces.
It's pretty funny. So you're playing this game for the first time and you're 20, 21 years old, and you start drinking and hanging out, and
oh yeah, sure.
It was a fun game to get a hang of, and that's probably my nostalgia for it. But
yeah,
like I've gone back and played it, like even for the show and prior, and I still play. I play a couple times a year, and especially now that I have a Vita, so I use the remote play on the PS3, and it like. For some reason on PS1, to me, maybe it's other people too, but like PS1 games on the Vita, it looks so much better on that little tiny screen than it does on like a bigger screen. Maybe that's just my opinion, but I'm playing it on the Vita. I think
there's a lot of factors, and I think getting into it will actually be a whole podcast episode in itself.
Yeah, because
yeah, I think the Vita might do like more like graphics stuff or whatever, or it might just be that the screen is smaller. So I don't know,
because visually, like if you look at videos of this game, you'd be like, I'm not playing this game. It looks, it's polygon. It just doesn't look.
I don't know. This game kind of looks grungy, but it looks grungy because it was made to be grungy.
Yeah, it's really kind of hard to gauge the graphics in this game because it's like, I mean, they're not great by PlayStation standards, but then again, I think that they were going for a look, like George just said. So.
I think if this was a game that I saw that came out in 1999, I think this would be a pretty, not like the best looking game, but I think it would be a pretty good looking game for 1999 standards on PlayStation.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome on
I know PlayStation was almost at the door by then, but still, I think what was in the game, like graphics wise and things like the ragdoll and whatnot, I think this was a pretty advanced game for the time.
Well,
even kind of to this day, it's hard to get a realistic skating game out there.
Sure,
but for them to put something out like that was kind of an accomplishment, to be honest.
Yeah, so the ragdoll physics are impressive for the time, and they are definitely funny to look at, as you guys mentioned. But they're not. I kind of think that I also kind of feel they overdid the graphics, the ragdoll physics a little bit. If that makes sense.
Really?
Because it's like, well, I mean, it's cool having it, but I kind of think it went a little bit too far because it's like.
Well, how and why though?
I don't think that. So I don't think they're going for a realistic skateboarding game. I think that. So I think they wanted to have kind of like a more like grunge style, like totally wild, wacky, like difficult, challenging skateboard game here. But they weren't going for the kind of realism sim aspect that Tony Hawk seemed to have with it. And the ragdoll physics, I think play into that part and parcel. Because it kind of helps to capture the whole feel about the kind of like the wild, crazy thing that's going on here in this game. But it's like the body cannot do those things that does in this game. So it's like it's a little bit. So I know it's being unrealistic, but to me, it kind of seems like they seem to be pushed a little bit too far in that direction.
Ring, 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 ring. Excuse me. All games that have ragdoll physics are on the phone for you, Greg. I have not really seen a game that has ragdoll physics that and it doesn't matter if it's new or old or whatever. I have not seen a game that has ragdoll physics ever be realistic enough for it to be called realistic. When you have ragdoll physics, it's something we haven't perfected yet, which is weird. We're on what generation of consoles or whatever, and we still have this problem. But there's always a problem with ragdolls and ragdoll physics where they'll clip through things, or you know, they'll just get stuffed. You know, your hands will get stuffed in your butt somehow or something. It's like no game with ragdoll physics is going to be realistic because weird things are going to happen, and it's very.
I wasn't saying I wanted to be like realistic. I was just saying
stuff.
like, yeah, you know, like I think it. Yeah. I wasn't saying that I wanted to be realistic. I understand this is the kind of game, the kind of feel they're going for in this game. I was just saying, I just thought they took the ragdoll physics a little bit too far. Was the only thing I wanted to say about it.
I don't. I'm still not sure what that means. I don't know how you take ragdoll physics. Like I would understand if like you crashed and then like you bounced on the floor and like fucking bounced like 5 feet in the air. Like I kind of feel like this is somewhat realistic in a way, with like when you fall off a board and then you just drag across the floor a little bit and then you just lay there in your pool of shame.
I think it's like it is a little over the top, and
I feel like the ragdoll physics might be a little too heavy.
It's over the. I think it's over the top because like it's not one of like it's not like an arcade based game. It's more like, but I don't know. I guess like skating would be more technical, and you just kind of like they're expecting you to like land tricks, and you gotta like hit buttons in certain combinations to land the trick. So I think like getting hit by a train, or like if you do a 180 or something like that, and you don't land it right, you get thrown, or you hit a curb and you like get thrown. I think it's kind of funny. Maybe if you're like a beginner, you would think it's kind of funny, and then it might keep you more engaged in the game. But yeah, I don't know. That's I mean I remember playing it again. Maybe it's I don't know, but I remember laughing about all that stuff. And then once I started getting good at it, when you started,
hardly saw any of it.
No, but like whenever you started busting and getting thrown around, you get upset about it because you're starting to get good at the game. So I think at the beginning you could laugh about it and it's funny, but when you get better, you get maybe a little more upset about it. I don't know. I
think one of my favorite things. So
I think it's a very cool concept. It works.
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
The way that this game works is it's not like Pro Skater where you have to go into career mode or whatever. Like you select, you know, single player, multiplayer, whatever the fuck, and then you go in and pick a place to skate. And if you're playing single player, what happens is you just skate around until you start your run. And this is how you progress in the game, by starting your run and completing these runs and whatnot. They're always just points based, really. You know, score 5,000 points to get to the next place, 7,500 next place, and so on and so forth. And you have a time limit. But this game does something different though with the time limit, because you could go past that time limit. What happens is when you get down to 0, it doesn't end. What happens is a cop comes up and he tries to taser you. So you're getting
just before 0, you'll start hearing the sirens. It's usually like 10 seconds.
And the cops will start yelling at you. So what happens is it goes into a first-person mode where you're seeing the first-person view of a cop with his taser out, and you're skating away. So it's difficult because you can't always see where you're going or what you're doing.
Yeah, the camera changes.
Yeah, but it gives you time.
Your tricks are worth more points too.
Right, I think it's like 3 times or something like that.
Yeah, you get more points.
Yeah.
So like it's helpful if you need a little bit more points, but you ran out of time, so now you gotta get away from the cops. The only thing is, so you can end your run early if you have enough points and you want to end it. There's always an exit location in each
which is very nice.
Area. It is nice because Tony Hawk
Needed
it feels everything right. Everything felt so closed, like constrained, like it felt like it was removed from the world because there was no like exit or anything. Whereas this game is like here's the exit, like you go over here, and it kind of feels like there's more of a bigger world to everything, just because you can kind of exit. It's not like an open world or anything. That's way too big for this kind of game, but yeah, there's that. And then I heard, I haven't seen or even gone to this, but I heard that there's also like sometimes you get attacked by like canine units instead of the cops.
It's later. Yeah, it's later in the levels. Yeah.
So the problem I had with the cops, it wasn't the. I mean, the camera makes it difficult, sure, but the problem I had with the cops is that if you get too far away, they tire out and then your run ends anyway. So you have to kind of keep them close enough so that you can keep going. And then once you get far enough away from them, the run will automatically end because the cop gets tired. And yeah. Once in a while you'll hit competitions though where there are no cops and the run will end when the timer gets to 0. I've had a problem with that fucking Brooklyn level so bad because it's like you need 12,500. The highest I ever gotten on that map was 12,300 something, and I can never replicate that ever again. So I had to resort to cheating to see the rest of the game because I put hours into it and I could not get there. The way that this game controls is very difficult because each face button does something different. So I believe it's square. Square does the ollies, right?
Right. Yeah.
Circle is interesting because what happens is it's like it rotates your character. So like, oh, you're doing a 180 spin now.
You're doing a 180, yeah.
Right. Here's where the fucking problem with the controls comes in for me. To modify that, you have to use the D-pad, but when you're holding the button and using the D-pad, you're still turning. You don't stop turning. I would be alright if it stopped turning so you can put your modifier in. So this game is hard to control because if you want to do anything other than like the base tricks, like if you just hit triangle, you'll do a kickflip, or if you hold right, or I think you hold left, you'll do like a heel flip, and if you hold down, you do like a pop shove it, stuff like that. So you have to hold down the D-pad stuff, so you're turning while you're trying to hit these tricks, and it really screws you up. And also on top of that, I don't know if it was me who's doing it the wrong way or what, but like a lot of the times those modifiers don't even go off, so I'm still doing the base trick. And, you know, I'm losing out on points because if you do the same trick over and over again, you get less points for it, and that really hurts.
Right, yeah.
Was that just me, or did anybody else have this problem?
I agree with everything that you just said. I mean, the controls in this game do not handle very well. They definitely take a while to get the hang of.
Unless there was like a hidden control scheme or something that I didn't notice, where like you have to hold like L2 or something, and then use the D-pad to do that, to not turn or whatever. Maybe? I don't know, but if there's nothing like that in there, then that's a huge problem because it's very difficult to try and turn and also do the tricks at the same time. That's probably why the Tony Hawk games are more pick up and play, because you can
I agree with
screw around, man.
Yeah.
Doing lines is harder, but like it's more realistic in this game because like you can't just jump in the air 20 feet and then do 5 flip tricks and then grab and spin around 360 degrees, you know?
Right, yeah.
So that's more realistic, but the grinding is a little rough too. I mean, I get what they were trying to do with it, but again, if you want to do different grinds, you have to use the D-pad, and that kind of fucks you up. But once you start grinding, what's weird is the grinding button is the kick button. You have to manually push your board in this game. You have to manually push your board in this game, and when you're in the air, that button turns into the grind button, and that's all fine and dandy. The problem is when you start grinding, sometimes you can like be overbalanced like automatically, and you'll just fall over, and that's not fun. Or you're trying to jump out of the combo, or you're trying to like, you know, combo out with like a kickflip or something, And sometimes, you know, you might do the kickflip, but then, oh, you landed sideways because when you were balancing on the rail, you were about to fall, so that carried over and you landed on your board, like, diagonally or whatever, and you fell off. Or you weren't able to hit the kickflip or the ollie or whatever off the rail, so you just fell over anyway. And it's just, I wish this game was a little more refined, and I wish the whole tricking stuff was tweaked a little bit better to not screw you over like that, because this would have been a really good game, other than the fact that some of the levels in this game are really lacking, especially the levels in Los Angeles, where one is the LA River and there's not much there, on top of you going into the sewage that is the LA River, quote unquote breaks your board. And and the Venice level is probably the worst level I've seen in that game, because all it is a couple of half pipes or a few quarter pipes and stairs, essentially, and street. Unless I was missing something when I was playing, that is a terrible level, and they require you to get a lot of points. I was never able to do that. But yeah, I just like, and there's 3 levels in Los Angeles, and 2 of them are garbage, and one of them's pretty good, which is the courtyard. The courtyard's pretty fucking good. So yeah, this feels like a rant. Somebody else say something.
Well, I agree with some of what you're saying, George. I don't think this game was rushed. It doesn't feel rushed to me. I didn't
say anything about rushed.
Right. I think that's more a symptom of the fact that this genre was kind of not fully developed at this point yet, so that they were doing a lot of the standards hadn't been set yet, per se.
I get that, but when you're
they were doing a lot of experimentation, some of it worked, some of it didn't. So I mean, there are some neat things this game does.
I get what you're saying, and you are certainly 100% correct, because this, you know, this is early era of, you know, 3D skateboarding games. But the biggest thing is, how do you not test your game and say, okay, to do different tricks you gotta use the D-pad. Oh, okay, wait, why am I turning? That's gonna be a problem, it's gonna make it way too difficult. And also, hey, my input didn't go through, I didn't do the trick I wanted to do. Like, how do you test a game and not see a couple of these problems? Even not all of them, just a couple of them. You know what I mean?
Well, they may not have seen it as a problem, because the fact that, you know, that they've been aiming for a certain kind of like a certain kind of gamer. Like, you know, I think that Paul was probably at the right age and the right mindset to really enjoy this game fully the most, like, when it came out. So I think that you know, this game seemed like it was aimed at like teens and college kids. I mean, granted, a lot of games are aged, or a lot of games are aimed at the age bracket. But I think that they kind of went a little bit too far. I would think that those people would still find the problem of, I'm turning when I'm trying to do a trick. This isn't going to go over well. I feel like anybody would see this problem, though. It doesn't matter what group you're in, because, you know, when you're trying to do a trick and you're turning, you're getting out of the area you want or need to be in, and that just causes a mess of problems, dude. Yeah, I suppose so. But yeah, just you know, it's the hardest thing with this game is trying to gauge it in a vacuum, because of course this game you can't help but compare it to Tony Hawk, because the 2 games came out like so soon apart. And I keep thinking, what would the history and reputation of this game be if Tony Hawk like never existed? This probably would sell decently and probably get a sequel that was better tweaked. Yeah, exactly. I think so too. Oh. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, but yeah, Tony Hawk came out and blew this game away, and the rest of history. It would have been the hot new skateboard. I mean, there was also there was another skateboarding series on the PlayStation. I forget what it was called. I know what you're talking about too. Yeah, it had a bunch of pros too. Yeah, wasn't that an Eidos game? I think it was Eidos. That's a good question. I don't remember.
I don't even know that. Yeah. But I was like, when the because I haven't played any of the skate games, but Have you guys played any of those?
Yeah, I have.
I don't know when
I have
that
all those
series
skate
started.
games.
Was it PS3 or PS2?
They started on PS3,
PS3.
360.
They kind of had a
No, I've not
board
played
you can get
those.
on it.
Yeah, you use the thumbstick to control the trick switch. Actually works pretty fucking well.
Is that more of a simulation or is it more of an arcade pick 'em up? Like,
No,
like Tony Hawk kind of is.
it's pretty realistic,
Okay.
but it's very satisfying when you get everything down. I would argue that
that's
it's.
what I was gonna say. That's what I think this game was going for. And
I
then
would,
like
I would argue
you're-
that the skate games are actually not very hard to pick up and play. It's just that you gotta keep in mind that you're using a thumbstick. But it makes sense though, because like to do grab tricks, you use left trigger and right trigger, and you think of those as your hands. And then on top of that, you can tweak it with the right stick while in the air. And I think that makes more sense, like using the thumbstick, because if you actually understand how to do tricks on a skateboard, a lot of that stuff, not all of it, but a lot of that stuff makes sense. Like doing an ollie in those games is like pulling the stick down and then pushing it up. Like that's how an ollie works, kind of.
yeah, like I used it when I was a kid. The reason I liked this game a lot is when I was like in like 5th, 6th grade, I would skateboard a lot. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you would kick down with your like right foot, slide your left foot up the board, and that's how you got up in the air. So
Yeah.
like I don't know, that I always like gravitated. And you were saying about the especially with the 180 and like with spinning, because I like going back and playing it now, doing the circle button, doing the 180. Like it's tough because you want to use the D-pad to like, you want to hit like 180 and then you want to use the D-pad to land it or spin yourself, but like this game doesn't want you to do that. It just kind of wants you to like use the buttons exactly to land your tricks.
Right.
And I don't know, I don't know, because it's been a while since I played any of the Tony Hawk games, and I haven't too. It's just been a while. And I know it was like, even in those games, like you were saying, you'll hit one thing and jump into another trick and jump into another trick. So I mean, it's really tricky in that way, because if you play those games, you're just so used to spinning and landing correctly. Even like going back to the Atari, like I remember playing the Atari 720 game. And you go up like anything, and you just use your control to turn, and if you land correctly, you land correctly. And I think that's, in this game you can't do that. You have to hit the buttons correctly to land correctly.
This game is very weird too, because when Greg and I were playing multiplayer, he would accidentally do this thing where like he face planted, like
Oh yeah. All the time.
What doesn't make sense in this game, and I feel like I understand why that was a thing in this game, but when you're in the air and you hit D-pad up or down, you'll start doing a backflip or a front flip, which if you're ever able to do one, which I think there's one level that gives you enough air to do one, it doesn't count as a trick. I think it was made more for self-correcting, for like when you're going off a vert, or when you're going off like a half pipe or whatever, and you run out of half pipe. I don't know why I can't say that. And you're about to hit the ground, so you like hit up or down, so you correct yourself. But like, I feel like I never have enough time to correct myself to not bail. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a list of skateboarding games on the PlayStation. There was actually a little bit of selection here. There was Grind Session, Street Skater, Thrasher, Skate and Destroy, and then the Tony Hawk games. So there was a decent selection here.
It went to 3, or Tony Hawk I think went to 3, right?
Yeah, Tony Hawk went to
for the original PlayStation.
Oh no, it went to 4 for the original PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have all of them. And then later on, I realized that 3 and up were on PlayStation 2, and they were much better. Like, holy crap. So,
yeah, it's definitely a lot easier to do tricks in Tony Hawk, which I think is that. But I will say this: I think the tricks you can do in this game, however, they kind of feel. Oh, how do I put it? it feels a bit more satisfying to be able to do a trick in this game. I think because they are more difficult to pull off. And your character looks a little bit better doing them too, I think, in most cases.
I don't know, because the Tony Hawk games are actually motion capture.
That's true, but...
I don't know if they did motion capture for this game. I do not know.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
Hopefully,
But-
when you get hit by a subway, they did not motion capture that.
I was really hoping that they
Hopefully.
would motion capture that. Like, oh hey, his legs are like turned the other way, like his kneecaps are broken in, and his like his big toe is like touching his nose. Yeah, we motion captured that.
Or if you just you partially get clipped, and then you don't, your board doesn't break, and you can get up and start skating again. I don't know. I think that like aspect was put in just to make the game a little more like fun for
Maybe.
the
I don't know.
novice person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, I don't know how the other games play other than Tony Hawk. Those might be really fucking rough as well.
I was gonna say, did you get through the whole soundtrack of this game? Like, how would you
Oh,
compare
what, the
it to
3
Tony Hawk?
songs in this game?
3 songs? Are you serious?
I heard like the same 3 or 4 songs in this game, dude.
Yeah, I mean they do loop, but there's
So
like
the
I think there's like
the problem with that was that when you free skate, it's like it's
yeah, that's no.
I
agree.
think there's like a specific song that they
You're getting the Sugar Hill Gang like over and over again.
right.
Yeah.
It's like you only listen to one song throughout the whole session, and then when you start a run, I think it's a specific song that you listen to for that area.
I think you're right, yeah.
Like I said, I think I've only heard the same 3 or 4 songs over and over again. I can look up what songs are in this game if
Yeah, but I was
want.
like this game and Tony, like even the Tony Hawk series, I can say they can easily. I was like,
well, the thing about the Tony
I
Hawk games is
gravitated
that
towards like all the the songs in it, and then I'm like, oh, I like who this person is, and I'm like Tribe Called Quest. I'm like, I didn't really know about him till playing this game, and then I was like, started listening to him all the time.
right.
Same thing with like Tony Hawk. I like a bunch of the people in Tony Hawk, same way.
I know the first Tony Hawk did the same thing where it would replay the song over and over again,
Yeah.
but like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 did the whole thing of actually having like the game pick up the rest of the tracks and whatnot.
Right.
Oh, I was gonna say, let me ask you too, because like I was looking at some videos and stuff that people talking about this game and playing it, and I played on my like I said, I'll play it on the Vita and I'll play on the PS3. I have an original PS1. I use the PS3 now because it's awesome. Why wouldn't you have one of those? It hooks
Because
up to a modern. It hooks
PlayStation's
up to a-
better, man.
But it hooks up, PS3, you can play PS1 games. It hooks up.
Not all of them.
HDMI.
And
It's
also-
awesome.
also there's
everything
problems
I
with it
have,
too.
it works. So at least so far,
right.
everything I have.
All right.
But I'm like, I'm already lost. What I was gonna say.
You were trying to phrase a question for us.
No, I was trying to do a question. I completely forgot what it was. It's terrible. Oh man! All right, you go. I'll have to come back. I just completely blanked. That's what happens when you're getting older. And your lack of
That's
sleep.
what happens
Man.
when you ram yourself into a subway train.
Yeah, exactly. I guess so.
Right.
Man, seriously, what is going on?
I found the soundtrack credits for this game. This game has I have never heard of. Well, I haven't heard of most of these songs. Actually, I'm not sure if I heard any of these songs
It's
before.
like all 70s, 80s, and
What are you talking about, dude?
like 90s, like hip hop groups.
Not 70s, like 80s and 90s. I don't think
Sugar Hill,
hip-hop-
was the Sugar Hill
hip-hop a
Gang
thing
in
in
the
the
70s? I thought it
70s?
was in the 70s. I could have swore Sugar Hill Gang was like 70s.
You know what? You're asking the wrong person. So what's in this game is Rapper's Delight, Planet Rock, White Lines, King of Rock. I know you got Soul, Rebel Without a Pause, Cool Keith Housing Things, I'm Housing, Talking All That Jazz, Award Tour, Just to Get a Rap,
Awesome song.
Freestyle Noise, My Beatbox, Crossfader Dominator, and Cause I Can. I don't think I've ever heard of any of these songs before.
I don't know if it's I'll have to look if it's one of those I don't know if the Tony Hawk games, if you like pop it into a CD player, you can just listen to the
Oh, all
soundtrack.
PlayStation games work like that.
No, I don't think they all, because isn't it like, what is it, Redbook audio? I don't know what it's called on PlayStation. But like some of the games that have soundtracks, you can throw them and just listen to the music right off of it, off the CD player.
You could do that with like all of them because they're CDs. They're literally just CDs, dude.
I thought it was like only a handful of them.
No, I'm pretty sure you could do it with like all of them.
So I can throw a siphon filter into my CD player and I can listen to music on it. Or is it just anything that has like music based?
I'm not sure if you'll. I think some games you'll listen to the sound effects too. But a lot of them are like just the soundtrack.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you might be right. I don't know. So
I think I'm right. That's all that matters, right? I think I'm right.
It's Rochambeau for it.
Right? Speaking of Rochambeau, more like broke my back in the game. I don't know.
So I can see where Paul's coming from, definitely. I mean, like, if you put the time into this game, like, if you give it the attention to get the hang of the controls and to be able to figure things out, yeah, I think it's like a fun game. I thought it was only alright just playing it now, 2018, but I think that, especially back then, if you put the time and effort into it, you definitely can have a fun game. And, like, multiplayer is definitely better. George and I played a bit of multiplayer before the podcast, and, yeah, there's some fun stuff in there. Just unfortunately, this game was just a victim of bad timing. And a couple of questionable decisions, as George already mentioned, as far as the design philosophy went. But still, I mean, I think if you enjoy skating games, I think this game is worth checking out because it's kind of like an overlooked game.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think I went to like get Tony Hawk and they didn't have it. I ended up getting this game. It was something like, it was so long ago. But I'm like, I ended up playing Tony Hawk. I think especially the second one, I played a ton of Tony Hawk 2.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, for some reason I just kind of like a friend of mine, we gravitated towards this game, and then I still end up kind of just picking it up and playing every once in a while, because you can just, like I said, you don't have to jump into the modes to play. You can just do your run. You can just mess around, do tricks, and then you can kind of go, okay, I'm ready to do the run if you want to try to go after the points, which is another cool thing too, is if you're doing, you can kind of explore the level too and go, oh, this is a good spot to start at, instead of going, oh, you need to start exactly here, because it's been so long since I played Tony Hawk. And even Tony Hawk, you go around and like collect things, don't you?
Yes or no? You have different objectives, but you can still free skate.
Yeah, it's been so long, and even the PS. I think I have some of the PS2 games.
I did some Google searching, and this is just the weirdest mishmash of generations I've seen. So, I tried looking up the whole PlayStation CD listening to music stuff, and some of the stuff is like, can I play CDs on my PS4? Why can't I play CDs on my PS4? And then like, hey man, did you know that you could put your PlayStation disc in a CD player and listen to music? I'm like, this is the weirdest mishmash of mid 1990s and like 2014 ever. But any game that has Redbook audio, as you said, Paul, you can play the music off of. There are some games that don't use Redbook, and they rely on the PlayStation hardware. But other than that, anything that's Redbook, you can play as a CD.
Yeah, and I don't know if Redbook's considered like, licensed music. Like, I don't know if that's it or
Redbook
not.
is
I'm like,
anything,
if not, you can throw Tony Hawk
that's
or
like a pre-recorded file, like a wave or whatever.
Yeah.
Put on the disc. Yeah.
Because that's a cool way to listen. I mean, there's a ton of the PlayStation games.
Yeah, you can do that with Saturn games
really
too, man.
Because
they're literally just CDs. Mm-hmm. And then PlayStation 2 games for DVDs and whatnot, but they were like printed a certain way or something. I don't know. technology.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know either. I think towards the end they changed their printing too, because it used to be like clear, and then it went to like blue, and I don't know. The way they layer the disc because of the space. I don't know.
The blue discs were literally CDs. If you find a PlayStation 2 game that's blue, like the disc bottom is blue, that's a CD. Fun fact: a lot of the fat PlayStation 2s can't play them anymore because of some weirdness. Like the thing just wears out. And one of mine is one of those. So now I have to either emulate or load up a game through like the network or whatever to play it on the PS2.
I just grabbed a PS2 game and it's clear it's clear in the back. It's not blue. Oh, I have Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Yeah, all the DVDs are the DVD games are the ones that aren't the blue backed ones.
Tony Hawk's Underground 2 is clear.
That's a good game. That is a good game. Anyway, what else do we have to say about this game? I'm sure we're about to give our final thoughts here, hey?
Yeah, I kind of gave mine already.
Yeah,
I guess
you're not wrong. Yeah, no, I think this is something that I think this is a game that people should try, especially people who like the Tony Hawk games, to see what kind of other selections they had. You know, and there's also grind sessions and Street Skater and all that shit. I haven't played any of those yet, so I don't know what they're like. But I feel like this is certainly worth giving a try at least. You know, emulation or buying it or whatever. It does some things right, does some things wrong. It's a rough game, but I feel like this might be something that I go back to and try to, you know, do something with it, you know, either if it's just screwing around or maybe trying to actually finally beat the game or bring a friend over and fuck around with it or something. But yeah, I think the worst thing about it is how it controls. You know, they certainly tried. It was a control scheme, and you know, it was one of those games where it's like first 3D console. How do we make a skateboarding game on here? And they tried, but just some rough edges there. But yeah, Paul, what about you?
To me, I don't know.
I love this game. Fuck you all.
No, I'm not. I still want. I have nostalgia glasses all day for this game. It's a great game.
Hey man, any game that you play in your 20s while getting drunk, you're gonna have goggles for.
Or when you first start drinking. Like it's very niche. It's like you got to get good at it. You just got to get the hang of the controls.
This is definitely a get good game. Yes.
And if you're not the person that just wants to get the hang of it, then it's not. I would totally go Tony Hawk, or even if Skate's a lot better, like one of those skate games. But skate games are fun, man. Yeah,
Skate is really good because you don't. A lot of the time, it's not like typical objectives like score this amount of points. Like there are missions where you have to score a good amount of points or whatever, but you know they also brought in that Thrasher Hall of Meat stuff, so there's some of those things in there. Where you have to bail and like break 5 bones and get a bruise on your wiener. But like, there's other creative stuff like, what do you call it? Like, hey man, you gotta skate around security and trick around and, you know, like, draw attention from them so that like we can get footage for this guy, or, you know, like, There's a demo going on, and we're out of man. We need somebody else to skate and look really cool. Like there's a bunch of other stuff, and that's just the first game. The second game brought in like you can move stuff around now, so it's like, hey man, try to figure out a way to skate this spot. So it's like, all right, I moved this picnic table over here, and I skated over it and did some grinding and whatnot. And then the third one was pretty fucking good with its park creator, where you can make the best parks ever. Like the park creator in Skate 3 was amazing. You know what? Fuck it. Just if you have a 360 or a PS3, go get the skate games. Fuck that.
There you go.
Those skate games are fucking great. But like seriously, I think this game. What's up?
I was gonna say I have a crap ton of PS3 games. I don't even have any of those.
Man,
So I gotta,
you can get those games for
which,
cheap now.
I was gonna say which one's the best one to get though? Because I will get that.
I would
The third.
I would say either 2 or 3. I think 2 is technically my favorite because 3 for some reason got rid of the open world, but the park creator in 3 is pretty sweet. So either go with one of those. You can pick them up for cheap. I got a copy of Skate 2 on PS3 like years ago, and I got it for like $20 or something. So you could get it for pretty cheap now, dude.
No.
But yeah, I let's not draw attention away from this game. I was making a joke, but honestly, I feel like this game actually does deserve some people's time. Some people are gonna get frustrated and they're not, they might not like it. That's fine as long as you tried it. But I suggest giving this game a try.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I saw this thing sold on eBay. $9.50 loose, all the way up to $34.95. $34.95 being complete unbox and no cracks on the jewel case or anything, and $85 for a sealed copy.
Nice.
In like perfect condition.
So if you want to invest, now's the time to buy this game up.
Right, buy a bunch of these games
And hold on to them and sell them.
Right, it's like 2 Human for 360, right? If
Right.
anyone knows what I'm talking about.
I do.
Okay.
I think it's because of the little R label at the bottom of the game for Rockstar. So it's like one of their early, maybe for that. But
I don't know.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it's a cool skate game. I think a lot of people missed because Tony Hawk was so huge. And like I don't even know about the magazine. I remember as a kid getting like the Thrasher magazine. It was a cool thing to do. So I'm like,
Yeah.
around 2000. I'm like I don't even like I mean, obviously Thrasher was still around, but I'm like,
Oh, Thrasher
I think,
is still around even today.
Yeah, but I'm
Thrasher
like,
has a very big presence in the skate games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Tony Hawk's name at the time was just like the casual person knew who Tony Hawk was, as opposed to Thrasher.
Right.
So
Right.
I think, like you said earlier, the name, his name there was just what drew a lot of people in. Plus, they're so easy to pick up and play. So
Yeah.
still a good game. I think it's worth definitely getting, even if you get a loose copy. Emulate whatever way you want to play it. Give it a try.
Certainly.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually have a bunch of games on the list. Not for next episode, but spread out in episodes. But the next game that we're going to cover is Einhander, because Greg said something college something Einhander. I think that's correct.
Close enough.
I was gonna say, your show should be wrapping up soon. You're gonna run out of PlayStation games.
Oh yeah,
I feel
we
like
are.
there's only a few more to go.
Yep. Yeah, we took some suggestions from people on Discord. So
Nice. Yeah.
one of these games is a Japanese game. Guess who suggested that one? It was our friend from Retro Obscura, Aaron. Of course.
Nice.
A game that I've never even heard of. But yeah, that's for later. Discord, I brought up the Discord. If you're interested in getting in contact with us, or just hanging out or whatever, get some updates, what's going on with podcasts or podcast videos and whatnot. Our Discord, we have a link in the description of the episode, so you can check that out. Slowly, we're getting some people in here. We're talking about video games and we're having some fun. I just thanks for coming on, Paul. It was
Hey,
fun.
no problem. Thanks for having me. It's
Yeah, man.
a cool game. So
Yeah, I think the last time we had you on was for like Gran Turismo.
yes,
Which how long ago was that? Like
Still,
a couple of
yeah.
years ago or something?
it was probably about a year
Something
ago.
like that, yeah.
Yeah. But
And you guys had what's his name? Greg, or was it the other Greg?
Greg
From-
Seward from
Yeah.
Player One
And he's
podcast,
a huge.
who used to be a game journalist for EGM.
Yeah,
Right.
but I know he's a huge
He's
car, like he likes
yes,
car
he's
games.
a huge
Like,
car fan. Yes, he loves his Gran Turismos.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And I want to thank the people who are backing us on Patreon. Those people need to get a shout out. I would like to thank David, Michael, the One Word Go Show, which is my friend Matt from Canada, and Lowry. These people are awesome, and keep on being awesome. If you're interested at Patreon, you can find it patreon.com/theboxfort, patreon.com/theBoxfort. You can get some rewards and some other fun stuff. There's behind the scenes stuff. There is some early access stuff, so you get the podcast episodes early, and there's just some other stuff. Why don't you check it out? And if you're interested, that'd be cool. Anyway, Paul, would you like to bring up the podcasts that you do normally?
I don't do it. I don't really do any podcasts anymore. Do I?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, I guess next week I have to cancel that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're canceling? All right, that's cool.
Somebody has to cancel, right?
Yeah, so I did that podcast with you. It's called Master System Masterpieces.
There you go. Where we don't cover the game and we talk about tornadoes and
we talk about whatever we can
raccoons.
think of.
Well, Collins is probably going to be that type of episode. So
Yeah.
when I put the Moonwalker episode out, you should listen to that, Paul, because we actually mostly talk about the game.
I know, because your guest on probably was super passionate about that game and really enjoyed the game.
It kind of was. And then,
Exactly. That's what happens when
we
when
ended
you-
up talking about PewDiePie, and then Joe said shit, and I had to censor it.
When people really enjoy what they talk about, they love to talk. So,
Yeah.
That's a good show. You should check it out.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know where can you find that?
Where can you find that? Well, if you just look up Master System Masterpieces, you can find it very easily. Compared to looking up PlayStation Power, you can't find this podcast for shit. Actually, you know what? I haven't done my monthly PlayStation Power checkup, so maybe I should do that now. Live on the podcast. I accidentally typed in PlayStation Plower. That's not what I wanted. And I'll let you know. Nope. All I find is technical problems with the PS4. But yeah, if you look up Master System Masterpieces or hey SNES Podcast, you should be able to find those pretty easily. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Because SNES Podcast is the podcast that Greg and I do,
Yes.
where we talk about SNES games.
Yes, and we have a lot of fun. We just finished up our 100th episode.
Oh jeez.
Congrats.
So it was a
Awesome.
blast. And just dropped today, as a matter of fact, special episode play of Shinto, hosted the Jaguar Game by Game podcast.
Yes, we covered Clay Fighter.
Yeah. Also a very impressive game like first time period.
Yeah. Anyway, we have a Facebook group. If you're interested, just look up PlayStation Power. You can totally find it on Facebook. But don't type in PlayStation Plower. That's a different thing. That's a different thing entirely. If you're so inclined to go on Twitter, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Chief. Is that MISTURCHEF? Paul, I think yours is I1 Sweet World.
Yeah, I'm I1 Sweet World. I'm
Love it.
not Gmail, but all right.
Make
Maybe
that
I
Twitter
was
account,
maybe I was on the phone the other
iSweetWorld@gmail.
day. The other day for someone with an hour, I'm like, all right, this is my email, and I kept saying it over and over again. But yeah, I'm I1 Sweet World on Twitter. That's kind of my only
Sweet.
presence on the internet as of now.
Right. We do have a YouTube, like I said before. We do podcast videos. It's basically just a podcast with video in the background to get an understanding or feeling or whatever for what the game is about. Just put up the Saga Frontier episode. That was interesting. Going back and re-editing that podcast episode and then realizing, oh shit, that's right, I came across a bug where my character had 0 health, and every time I got into a battle, it would crash the game. So that was some fun times. But yeah, even if you're interested, I stream games on Twitch, mostly newer games, but I do PlayStation Power games sometimes, and sometimes I just do random older games. That is Mr. Chief, same as my Twitter, MISTURCHEF. Fun times. Last but not least, we have an email. These notes are all over the place. Who the fuck wrote these? It was me. The answer is it was me. I need to organize these things better. Anyway, email PlayStationPower@theboxfort.net if you want to give some feedback on a game, or you want to suggest a game, or talk about your experiences with the PlayStation, or if you want to tell me a nice story about PlayStation Plower, I'll read that too. But with that, I think that's about it, and goodbye.
Have fun all.